who are here present, our party leadership from Harare province, I see some from Tumiza province. We are going to have our press briefing and statement done by our spokesperson, Mwonzora. But before he does that, with senior leaders who are here present, we have just accompanied Mwonzora. As you may know, Changirai, as we are speaking, is addressing a Bamba crowd in Buhera after a Bamba rally that we addressed yesterday in Gutu. Some of us have just had to come back to deal with this issue, a press conference, but our president is busy addressing the people who are so happy with the leadership of the party. But I'm going to introduce to you some of the leaders who are here present, our members of the Guardian Council. Baba Wamakuyana, who is a member of the Guardian Council. Ramagaya, who is a member of the Guardian Council. Maichi Manikire, Mama, it's okay, okay. It's alright, good. Maichi Manikire, member of the Guardian Council. And we also have my members, Edu, National Executive, Aripano, Ramashu, Aripano, Mai Pariwa, thank you very much, member of the National Executive. We have Bafemai, member of the National Executive, Aripano. With Advocate Martinenga, who is our advocate. You know, the advocate is always an advocate. In charge of other issues, legal issues, you know, as Advocate Martinenga. Members, of course, I acknowledge the province of Aripan. But like I said, this is not supposed to be getting all the executive members. He was just Mwonzora to give us a press briefing of what is obtained over this weekend, so that we have a way forward. You are ready for the press. Members of the press want to thank you. At such a short notice, you have managed to come. We really appreciate your coming. I acknowledge also, I saw the mayor, member councillors here present. Thank you very much. No tender, members of parliament who are here present, but I also appreciate the leadership here province. Thank you very much. Over to you, Comrade Douglas Chogarase Mwonzora, the party spokesperson, not the spokesperson of some renew or bogus. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chamisa, Organizing Secretary of the party. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen of the press. Yesterday, the 26th of April, the press. Yesterday, on the 26th of April, the Secretary General of the party convened a meeting of a few members of his faction that he called a National Council meeting of the party. In that meeting, he agitated for the suspension of leadership of the party and the effective installation of himself as the leadership of the party. The meeting was convened. That the meeting was convened can never be passed as a meeting of the National Council of the MDC, both because of the manner in which it was convened and because of the composition of that meeting. The powers of the Secretary General are spelled out in clause 9.5 of the Constitution, and it is clear from the wording of the clause that the Secretary General has no power to convene the meeting of the National Council. Maybe the Secretary General confused the duty to ensure that the meeting of the National Council complies with the Constitution, with the duty to convene that meeting. In terms of Article 951A, the Secretary General can only organize meetings of National Congress and national conference, but not national council. The priority or the power to convene a meeting of the national council rests with the president. It is clear that the meetings of the national council can only be convened by the president of the party and the national chairperson of the party. The Secretary General can only exercise more power than he is given in the Constitution if and only if he is authorized by the President to do that. We are made to believe that the Secretary General organized that the meeting at Mandela be chaired by one Mr. Samuel Spepangomo, the Secretary to the Guardian Council. In terms of clause 9.3.1h of the party constitution, the only person who can chair the meeting of a national council is the national chairperson. However, neither the national chairperson nor his deputy was invited to the meeting. How the Secretary General could preside over this gross violation of the constitution boggles our mind. Under Article 9.1.2b, it is only the president who can chair meetings of the national executive. It is common practice in the MDC that all meetings of the national executive and the national council are held at the headquarters of the party, unless the national executive itself or the national council decides otherwise. It is common knowledge that this meeting was held at Mandela Training Center, an indication that in the mind of the Secretary General, there was no intention of making this meeting a transparent meeting. It was always supposed to be a clandestine meeting. The composition of the National Council is well spelled out in the Constitution. Sorry, there is some nice music coming from one of the phones. Our apologies. I'll take that again. Under Article 9.1.2 of our Constitution, only the President can chair the meetings of the National Executive Committee. It is common practice in the MDC that all the meetings of the National Executive, National Council, National Standing Committee are held at the party headquarters here at Harvest House, unless the National Council, the National Executive, or the National Standing Committee directs otherwise. This meeting was held at Mandela Training Center, an indication that it was always the intention of the Secretary General to make this meeting a clandestine and bogus meeting. The composition of the National Council is another issue, is well spelled out in Article 6.4.3 of the Constitution of the party, and it is made up of the following: all members of the Standing Committee, all members of the National Executive, the Management Committee of the Women's Assembly, the Management Committee of the Youth Assembly, the Chairperson and Secretary of the Guardian Council, Chairperson, Secretary, Organizing Secretary, Treasurer, Information Secretary and Publicity Secretary of each province, elected female representatives of every province, elected in terms of Clause 6443 of the Constitution, 3 members of Parliament elected by a special caucus of Parliament. However, in this meeting, the composition was not as I've outlined above. The meeting of the National Standing Committee is convened by the President and is chaired by the President. In terms of our Constitution, we have 13 members of the National Executive Committee, National Standing Committee. In terms of our Constitution again, we have 54 members of the National Executive Committee. And in terms of our Constitution, we have 195 members of the National Council. Now the meeting at Mandela, out of 13 members of the National Standing Committee, there were only 2, Honorable Tendai Biti and Honorable Solomon Mwonzora, out of 13. That means the majority of the National Standing Committee was not invited at that meeting and therefore did not attend. If one is generous and adds Mangoma there, it is 3 out of 13. Our mathematics says that's a fail. The National Executive Committee of the party is chaired by the president, as I said, and it is made up of 54 members. The National Standing Committee, as I said, is made up of 195 members. I am saying this in order to demonstrate to you that the meeting was beyond all reasonable doubt a bogus meeting. Out of 13 members of the Standing Committee, there were only 2 who were present and invited. Out of the 54 members of the National Executive, only 8 members were invited and did attend. And these were Honorable Biti, Honorable Chikwinya, Honorable Masaiti, Honorable Mshonga, Honorable Mrs. K, Honorable Madzore, Honorable Chitando, and Mr. Gweshe from Mashonaland East. Coming to the National Council, out of 195 members of the National Council, only 33 did attend that meeting, were invited to that meeting and did attend. Now you can see, ladies and gentlemen, that the composition of the National Council, or the so-called National Council, was below the expected minimum, which is 2/3. It was not even 50%. It's 33 out of 195. In Manicaland, because we do have provincial representatives, in Manicaland, out of 9 representatives, only 4 came. In Mashingo, out of 9, 5 did come. In Midlands South, out of 9, only 2 came. In Midlands North, out of 9, only 2 people came. In Mashonaland West, out of 9, only 2 people came. In Harare, out of 9, only 3 came. And these 3 were Mr. Paul Madzore, Mr. Solomon Madzore, and Mr. Williams Madzimure. Out in Mashonaland West, Mashonaland Central, out of the 9 people who are supposed to attend, 0 attended. In Chitungwiza, out of the 9 who were supposed to come, again 0 came. In Mat South, only 1 out of 9 came to the meeting. In Matebeleland North, out of 9, we only have 3 who came. And in Bulawayo, out of 9, we have only 2 who came. All this adds up to 33 members out of the 195. That is why we say this meeting was not only bogus, but was beyond all reasonable doubt bogus. To all reasonable members of society, this is not a meeting to take seriously. Members of Parliament who came, there are some members of Parliament who are not members of the National Council, but they came. But anyway, what we did is we grouped them together, all those who came, who are supposed to come or not supposed to come. So out of 91 members of Parliament, only 9 came to this meeting. And these 9 are Honorable Tendai Biti, Honorable Paul Madzore, Honorable Solomon Madzore, Honorable Moses Manyengawana, Honorable Williams Madzimure, Honorable Spepangomo, Honorable Temba Nyati, Honorable Evelyn Masaiti, Honorable Wachis Banda, making 9 out of 91. Again, you have heard in the press that a claim that this group controls the majority of the members of parliament. You make up your mind, 9 out of 91. Some people who made up the meeting came from Welshman Ngube's party. This, I think, according to our information, there are about 40 people who came from Welshman Ngube's party. The rest were a hired crowd from the district and some youths who are not eligible members of the National Council. Therefore, this meeting was both bogus and incorrect in the sense that it didn't meet the quorum. Our main worry as the MDC is the behavior of our Secretary General. I have read to you the statistics, I have read to you the law, and I want to tell you that the Secretary General is well versed with the Constitution. How he would sanction a meeting like this, well knowing the constitutional provisions, again baffles the mind. There's one statistics I had left. The National Guardian Council, which is our Council of Elders, is made up of 28 members. Out of the 28 members, only 2 came to the meeting, and those were Senator Holland and Mr. Spepankomo. So the rest of the Guardian Council didn't come, and some of the members of the Guardian Council are actually here to confirm to you. Now, the behavior of our Secretary General is something which boggles the mind. He has gone against the Constitution, well knowing what the Constitution provides. But the reason why he has done that is because he has no support of the National Standing Committee. He also does not have support of the National Executive Committee of the party. He has absolutely negligible support of the Guardian Council, 2 out of 28. He has no support, obviously, of the bona fide National Council of the party. He has no support of the structures of the party. In fact, we have been advised that members in Harare East are petitioning the party that the Secretary General be expelled from the party, also be expelled from Parliament, be recalled from Parliament. We are obviously going to consider that. It is also clear that given these statistics and given the fact that our Secretary General preaches the Constitution, but the very next minute breaches the Constitution. In law we say he approbates and reprobates. He says no and he says yes. We are worried about that character. We are also worried that he says ZANU stole the elections 1 minute, the next minute that it didn't. Then the next minute MDC had a good message. The next minute, no, Boram Ged was actually the better message. This is what we call approbation and reprobation, and it is worrying us. And we are worried about the Secretary General who preaches and breaches the Constitution. There is an ongoing investigation that we are waiting to conclude with him. But now that he has said he's not with us, there is an investigation relating to the use of party assets, appropriating party assets to a private company that he owns. And both himself and Honorable Mangoma are being investigated, as is Mr. Fortune Gwaze, a former staff member. The MDC, however, has been aware of the actions of the Secretary General. We saw this coming. We deliberated on the setting of the tribunal, but we delayed in order to give dialogue a chance. As you may know, we set our tribunal we deliberated on setting the tribunal to try Honorable Mangoma sometime at the beginning of March. But we waited up to beginning of April to set that tribunal because we wanted to give dialogue a chance. We wanted to give democracy. We wanted to give justice a chance. But as we were trying to do that, Honorable Mangoma, in typical abuse of the magnanimity of our President Changrai and his long heart, held an interview with the Financial Gazette. You all saw that interview where he started denigrating the office of the President. And I want to tell you here, ladies and gentlemen, the common held view that the people who oppose the President in the party are intellectuals. There is not one intellectual there. If by intellectual we mean the same thing. We have people who may hold a degree or a certificate here and there, but that doesn't convert that person into an intellectual in the proper sense of the word. And there is no one of them who is qualified to denigrate the intellectual capacity of anyone in the MDC. After the magnanimity and the long hand extended by our President, including the holding of a press conference here, to bury the hatchet, Honorable BT and company, through the back door, asked Mafume, Mkwananzi, and Mainge Hama to convene a press conference to undo what we had done. We all knew which hand it was, whose hand it was. We were told at the press conference, if you remember, by Mafume, that Honorable BT was going to make a statement. This is the statement that he made yesterday. We saw it coming. We knew it. Our President was very much aware of what was happening. Now, the long and short of what happened yesterday is that Honorable BT has formed his own political party. It is a political party for which they are failing to find a name. But it is a political party nevertheless. It is a party that they have formed, and it is a party whose formation, the consequences they have to bear. Our way forward is that the various structures of the party are going to meet in the coming days. The various structures, the genuine structures and organs of the party are going to meet in the next few days, and their decision is final. The standing committee will meet tomorrow to deliberate the developments of Saturday. And at this press conference, at this National Standing Committee, Honorable BT has been specifically invited to answer for himself with his own mouth what he has done. A properly constituted meeting of the National Executive and the National Council of the party will be held on Tuesday. Again, their decision is going to be final. I want to address the question that was addressed by Honorable BT at the press conference yesterday, that they are going to write to the Speaker of Parliament that those members, those 9 MPs who were part of the formation of a new political party must not be recalled in terms of the Constitution. And he says he is going to write specially to the Speaker so that MDC is given a special dispensation. No, Honorable BT. You may breach the Constitution of the MDC, but you are not at liberty to breach the Constitution of the country. The Constitution of the country is very, very clear. Where a person ceases to be a member of a political party, they are recalled by that political party which put them into that parliament in the first place. And dare I remind everybody here that the members of parliament, all of them who are in that parliament, are in parliament on the ticket of MDC Changrai. They are not there on the ticket of MDC Jongwe or MDC Tendai or MDC Mangoma or MDC Madzore. It's MDC Changrai. And the law is very, very clear. We want to warn Parliament that they must never be used by people who have absolutely no respect for their own constitution to be part of the breach of the national constitution. The law is clear and it will operate accordingly. Ladies and gentlemen, Morgan Changrai and the leadership remain the legitimate leaders of the MDC. In constitutional law, there is what we call the theory of effectiveness or the Cretan theory. Under this theory, when there is doubt on who is the government, you have to look at the telltale signs on who is governing. Now you can apply the same theory to the MDC to see who is the leadership. And in doing that, you must look at who is controlling the headquarters of the MDC, number one. Number two, who is controlling the masses. We have come here to say, and you see the people who are outside there, and may I speak a little low because I have my friend Chamisa here, who is now in love with law. We say res ipsa loquita. What that means is that facts speak for themselves. Now the facts on who is in control of the MDC speak for themselves. Our president Changrai does not have to be here. He's not here because he is busy with the people. He is busy with the program that he was supposed to do. Lastly, I want to say to you, all this that happened yesterday is a culmination of an elaborate covert project involving state security, ZANU-PF, Mugabe, Welshman Ngube, and the few malcontents in the MDC to destabilize the MDC and to debrand the party. What BT and company did yesterday was an awkward attempt at a coup d'etat by people too spineless to stand a Congress. The leadership of the MDC is decided by Congress. If you want to be president of the MDC, you have to go to Congress. And our friend Secretary General knows that. He is aware of that. The fact that he wants to avoid that means that he wants to circumvent the Constitution. We have absolutely no respect for people who want to breach the Constitution, firstly of the party and the Constitution of the country. I want to thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Honorable Douglas Togarase Mwonzora, for that erudite, eloquent, and articulate narration of the party position. I think having said that, we are all on all fours in terms of what the party stands for and the direction that we are taking. But be that as it may, we may actually require our members of the press to pose some questions to our spokesperson, who is ready to give you answers as well, all the answers that you may need for today. Honorable Mwonzora, I'm sure you are ready. I'll start with my question.
Honorable Mwonzora, what's your response to allegations of unconstitutionalism and misappropriation of funds raised by Tirevit?
Okay, thank you very much. I will take that question. The next one, police.
Yes, my question is, do you see the party spending in 2018?
Sorry?
Do you see the party spending in 2018? Forward spending?
Oh, I see.
He said, do you see the party standing until 2018? Police, thank you very much.
So you may have to raise your voice, unfortunately.
The role played by the Western embassies in the current shenanigans in Bamako.
Maybe we take three. Okay, all right.
I'm taking the fourth one, Honorable Mwonzora.
Oh, thank you very much. Let me start with the last question, if you may allow me, the issue of the early Congress. The National Standing Committee of the party, the National Executive of the party, and the National Council of the party have said we will have an early Congress. And this Congress is an early Congress as opposed to an extraordinary Congress. If it is an early Congress, you do all the Congress processes from branch to ward to district to province and then end up with the main Congress. That Congress is more just because you have people with a fresh mandate coming to the Congress and electing a new leadership. However, Mr. BT and company want an extraordinary Congress. An extraordinary Congress is a Congress where the delegates of 2011 vote in the Congress of 2016 or in the next Congress. We are saying as a party we will have an early Congress, and we are ready for an early Congress. And our president has said anybody who wants to contest any position in the Congress is free, including anybody who wants to challenge presidents of the party. They are free to do that. But this is a preemptive move by people who are afraid and who already know the outcome of the Congress. I don't see Zimbabwean MDC members, serious members of the MDC, having time for flip-floppers and confusionists. So definitely we are going to have an early Congress. And yeah, the question is when should we have the early Congress? The early Congress date is going to be process driven. Honorable Chamisa is going to deal with the issue, he is going to deal with the congresses at the lower levels first, and then the Congress, the main Congress. It will be process driven. It is not going to be too long, but it is going to happen. But we are not going to hold a Congress because some people at Mandela has chosen to ask for it. If they want an early Congress, they know how to ask for it. If they want an extraordinary Congress, they know the legal procedures to follow. They have chosen not to follow them, and we have also chosen not to hear them. Number two question I want to answer, Honorable Chamisa, is the question, can the MDC survive up to 2018? Well, one of the preachers in Zayoja said, God never gives you a problem that is not equal to your size. The MDC will prevail. In fact, what is happening in the MDC is a manifestation of actually a deeper struggle that is taking place, an ideological struggle. This struggle is pitting those who stand for the rich against those who stand for the poor. This struggle is for the poor and the downtrodden masses. And Morgan Tsvangirai is an epitome of that struggle, given his background in the trade union movement. This is a struggle for the poor. That is why we are not worried about the freezing of the resources that was done by the Treasury Department here in order to arm twisters. We can go with or without their resources, and we shall prevail. Then, the allegations raised by Honorable Biti. You see, the problem with Honorable Biti is that sometimes he confuses the politician in him, the good lawyer in him, and the opportunist in him. A good lawyer looks at the law whether it favors him or not. A good politician makes good, intelligent moves that are sustainable. An opportunist has selective memory. And an opportunist forgets the roles that he plays in an organization. The MDC is one of the most elaborate organizations system-wise. Under this system, our president does not have financial control. The people with financial control are two in the organization: the Secretary General and the Treasurer General. How can the funds be misappropriated by anyone when they are there? They are the people who disburse the funds. They are the people who sign the checks. They are the people who decide the payments. In fact, Honorable Biti chairs what is called the Finance and Administration Committee of the party. So that question should be properly be asked to him. He is the one who must answer that question, together with his colleagues who were running the finances of the party. Then the Western, well, what we do know is that at Mandela, there was an organization called the Zimbabwean Institute. Whether the Zimbabwean Institute, which is a Zimbabwean organization, had the authority of its donors to help create this confusion, we don't know. What we know is that certain countries in the world love democracy, love good governance, love the rule of law, and invest in democracy, good governance, and rule of law. I don't see any good meaning government or any good meaning donor investing in confusion and anarchy. We have no evidence of any of the countries funding these people, but we do have evidence of an intermediary organization actually taking part in this confusion. That is the Zimbabwe Institute. But our relationship as the MDC with the international community is good. We have a respectful, decent relationship. We believe that Zimbabwe should be a friend of the world, and therefore the MDC is a friend of the world. We have our own ideals, which we cannot sacrifice for anything. We believe in democracy, freedom, justice, equality, and equal opportunities within the party and outside the party. I will end there on this question and take another 3.
Thank you very much, Mwonzora. I think you have ably tackled the questions. We really appreciate it. I think I will take the next round of questions. For those of you who have questions, before you have the second part of the chair, colleagues, any other question from other colleagues? Okay, Mr. Hongwe. Yes, Mr. Hongwe.
Obviously, questions were raised on the effectiveness of opposition politics in Zimbabwe. Of course, you say that people that attended the Mandela meeting were quite a few, but it's pretty obvious that those people will have a negative bearing on the support base of the MDC itself as a party. Is it fair to say, given the current problems in the MDC, biggest beneficiary can be ZANU-PF and President himself? And also, I want to know from you if the MDC is split or splitting.
Thank you, Hongwe, on that question of whether the MDC is or not split. I will not answer, is the one who's going to answer, Mr. Collins.
There's a school of thought that modern Mwonzora is refusing to address issues that have been raised by those advocating for the leadership renewal. You start from when Comrade K comes to Comrade Mwonzora, Comrade Mwonzora, they have been issuing the raise and they have not been answered. Instead, there's a consistent leading to the meeting, probably as Chris to say. How is the MDC going to tackle this issue?
Thank you very much. The last one.
Why we do these meetings this way? Is it not a foregone conclusion of the outcome? And in that, we say the party deputies will find at the streets.
Okay. Thank you very much. Let me deal with the first question raised by Brian Ongwe, that how effective is going to be politics. Well, there's a saying by Shakespeare, actually, that cut the first joint and the rest sound. What that means is cut the joint with cancer and the whole body is saved. So it may be necessary to cut the first joint in order to save the body. And the body can actually become much stronger than it was. It may become less susceptible to the contaminating influence of people who are opportunistic, confusionistic, and anarchistic, and also ideologically confused. But the history of the MDC is also fascinating. In 2000, the MDC had 57 seats. In 2005, it had 47 seats. 41 seats. In 2008, adding with the Senate, we had about 121 seats. And in 2013, we are on 91 seats. The behavior of the MDC, the electoral behavior, is cyclical. Up, down, up, down, up, down. Up in 2000, down in 2005, up in 2008, down in 2013, up in 2013. But, of course, we are not waiting for chance as the MDC. As you know, the organizing department and our president have initiated two or three operations. One operation is Operation Zogakumusha, where we are saying to those people who had left the party for one reason or another, come back to the party. And the response is overwhelming. In the next week or two, my friend Chamisa will be parading about 24 or more people who are coming from an executive of one political party alone. So this is bearing fruit. Also, the president of the party is saying there must be gluing of the party, Operation Sungam Sangam, gluing of the party. There must be magnanimity, there must be unity, there must be tolerance. But of course, you have people who are not interested in unity, who are not interested in tolerance, who are also not interested in magnanimity, and who are so thankless. That one we cannot do, those we cannot do anything about. The beneficiary being ZANU-PF, what we now do know, because of the apparent loss of concentration by President Mugabe during the independence celebration, he gave away the big secret. And the big secret was that, please don't touch these people, I'm working with them. We also had known that the CIO was working very hard to try to destabilize the MDC, using money, using selective application of the law, and using a lot of confusion to try to destroy the MDC. We are very much aware of that. And we know that the ZANU-PF and these people are going to be the biggest losers in all this struggle. President Changirai always answers questions. But I'll give you an example of a question that he answered. During the National Executive Committee, you know that Honorable Mangoma's, one of the things on Honorable Mangoma's paper is financial misappropriation. You have read about that. A question was posed, was there money stolen by the president? Honorable Mangoma, can you tell the executive? And the answer came, and the answer was a total exoneration of the president. And then the president does not have to answer that once he has been exonerated. He has answered a lot of things. that have been asked to the appropriate bodies. What we do in the MDC is we do things in the appropriate platforms. So you may not know what he said in the standing committee or in the national executive or in the national council. But one interesting thing was that Honorable BT last week clamored or asked for an amicable divorce in the national executive. And the president said there will be no divorce because there was no marriage. You want to divorce with who? There is no marriage. So that's again an answer that has been given. Our president is always accessible and answers questions. But we know that these questions are not asked in faith. These questions are part of the debranding crusade that is being initiated by state security and other malcontents. Foregone conclusion, no, we are a part of justice. We are going next week into the meetings with the genuine members of the party, the genuine leaders of the party, and the decision that they make has to be respected. Well, President Mugabe talks of territorial integrity and sovereignty, probably sometimes confusing those terms. But there is also sovereignty in the organizations. The sovereign right of the MDC members to make a decision about their organization. And this is what they are going to do next week. Whether they have made their decision already, I do not know. But it's certainly not a foregone conclusion. The members will debate and look at things as justly as possible.
Thank you, Honorable Mwonzora. I think Honorable Mwonzora has done a just job to try and answer. In fact, it is President Mugabe who first announced the meeting at Mandela. We didn't know that there was going to be such a meeting, but President Mugabe announced it. What he didn't announce was the venue, but he clearly announced that Mr. BT and Kaman were going to form their own party, and we should let them form that party. We've allowed them to form the party, and we are happy that they now have their own party, but the consequences that are going to meet for having formed that party. Thank you, Honorable Mwonzora. We are very firm. I mean, don't be under any doubt about the strength of this movement. Yesterday, when put there, people are so clear. In fact, Mr. BT would be very lucky not to be invited by one of the old people in the rural areas for some traditional ceremony, because they are so angry with him. But I'm glad we are a party that does not celebrate violence. Things are okay, and we hope things will be okay. Thank you for coming, comrades, leaders, and friends, journalists. We appreciate all the best. Thank you. Chef,